The gambler's fallacy. Have you ever thought that a coin toss, after landing on heads 5 times in a row, is due to land on tails next? This common belief is known as the gambler's fallacy, where we mistakenly assume that past outcomes influence future ones in random events. In reality, each flip is independent, with the chances of landing heads or tails remaining 50-50 every time, regardless of previous results. Availability heuristic. The availability heuristic is a mental shortcut, where people rely on immediate information that comes to mind when evaluating a situation or making a decision. This often leads to skewed judgments. For example, after hearing about a plane crash on the news, you might think flying is very dangerous, even though it's actually much safer than driving. This happens because the crash is the first thing that comes to mind, leading to a skewed judgment about the safety of air travel. To avoid this, look for actual facts and statistics before making a decision. Loss aversion. Loss aversion is when the fear of loss takes priority over the desire for gain, leading you to avoid risk, like skipping a promising investment out of concern for losing money. To counter this, focus on what you could gain, not just what you could lose. The sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy is when we continue with something just because we've already invested money, effort, or time into it, even if it's no longer worth the cost. This is like driving an old car that constantly needs repairs, just because you've already spent so much on it. Kruger Effect. Imagine someone with little knowledge or skill in a certain area, yet feeling overly confident in their abilities. This is the essence of the Kruger Effect, a cognitive bias where individuals with limited expertise mistakenly believe they are more capable than they actually are. Spotlight Effect. The spotlight effect is when we believe that people notice our appearance, mistakes, or behavior more than they actually do. For example, you're at a party and accidentally spill your drink on your shirt. As you make your way to the bathroom to clean up, you feel like everyone at the party is watching you make a fool of yourself, leaving you incredibly embarrassed. The Diderot Effect. The Diderot Effect occurs when you buy something really nice, and it makes your other things seem old and dingy, so you start replacing them. For example, you buy a nice new coat, but then you feel like you need a new pair of shoes to go with it. To avoid this, be mindful of how one purchase can influence your overall spending. Negativity bias. This bias states that adverse events have a more significant impact on our psychological state than positive events. For example, if I read 100 comments under my videos and 99 of them are positive, but 1 is negative, guess which comment I end up remembering and thinking about? That one negative comment. This tendency isn't uncommon. Most of us are naturally inclined to pay more attention to the negative things. To deal with this, we should try to focus on the good things and feel thankful. Consistency principle. The consistency principle is based on the desire to be consistent with what we have previously said or done. For example, if you tell your family that you're quitting smoking, you're more likely to stay on track to fulfill your commitment. The planning fallacy. The planning fallacy occurs when we underestimate how long it will take us to complete a future task. For example, you are preparing for your upcoming midterm paper and set aside just 1 week to finish it. Although similar assignments in the past took you more time than expected, you feel confident that 1 week is enough time. The bandwagon effect. The bandwagon effect is when you copy what others do, like buying a trendy phone just because everyone else has it, not because you need it. To avoid this, stay aware of your own biases and try to see different viewpoints. The reactance bias. Reactance bias is when we want to do the opposite of what we're told because we feel our freedom is being threatened, like not wanting to wear a helmet just because a sign says we must. Action bias. Action bias is a psychological tendency to prefer action over inaction, even in situations where doing nothing might be the better option. For instance, feeling like you must invest during a slow market period when holding off might be the wiser choice. The unity principle. You may have faced a situation where you felt more inclined to trust someone who seemed like they were part of your own group, like feeling more confident in a product if it's being sold by someone from your hometown. The unity principle is exactly that. It suggests that people are more easily persuaded and more trusting of those they perceive as part of their own community or group.